Welcome to the MMA Roadshow, episode number 125. My name is John Morgan. Cold Coffee is with me this week. We are in Las Vegas, our hometown.
Where we at?
You know where we at. We at Boomers for a Thirsty Thursday. You know, the prices may have changed. But
the newly remodeled Thirsty
but
Thursday.
The ambiance hasn't. The service hasn't. The frosty cold, award-winning Pabst Blue Ribbon. Nothing has changed there. It's a little more high class for us. It's a little bit more out of our pocket, but you know, we show up. We stay.
We do it.
They give us love. They give us love.
They do.
Man, all right, listen. Sometimes every now and then an episode number sets off something in me. I just want to say real quick, episode number 125 really made me think about UFC 125. That was Frankie Edgar, Gray Maynard, the split draw, January 1st, 2011. You guys remember UFC. Funny, one of those UFC named ones, UFC Resolution, since it was January 1st, where we got no resolution because the main event was a draw.
It was a draw.
But the best part, the part that always sticks out to me.
Did they resolve to do it again the next year?
The part that always sticks out to me was Craig Bersari did the post-fight press conference.
Really?
And
was it his first and only?
His first and only as far as I can remember. I think maybe some in the early days. I feel like he's done some others, maybe some WC ones or something. But
should we tell who Craig Bersari is?
Okay, yeah, you probably should. Craig Bersari is I don't even know his exact title. I mean, like
Senior VP of production or something. Yeah,
Senior VP of production.
Yeah, he's as high as it gets underneath Dana when it comes to controlling the production side of things. Of course, he's gonna, go to Dana for the final say on things. But he is the man that underneath him is the guys that control all the post-production stuff that you're going to see, all the stuff that's pre-packaging built in-house. And then there are the production guys that actually control the product that you see on the broadcast, Tim O'Toole. And underneath on the post-production side is Chris Kartsmark. And those cats are under Craig. So it was interesting, when we were there for the the McGregor workout. I saw Kartsmark and Bersari together, and I was like, that was the first time I saw Kartsmark since I left. We didn't have the greatest relationship then, but
it
was
was
like
your boss that didn't really like you, basically, is what we're saying.
We didn't like each other. But it was like, time had passed, so it was just like, it was like, hey, Chris. He's like, hey, Ken. And Bersari's with him, and he's like, hey, Ken, how you doing? I'm like, we're all buddy-buddy. But it was cool, I'm man enough to not be like, hey, fucker, as they walk by, Granted, that would have got me kicked out of the building. Well. But, but it was interesting to see those cats. But,
so
yeah.
Craig Bersari, high-ranking UFC.
Very high-ranking.
Dude's been there forever. I mean, he's overseen everything, right?
Yeah,
so he did the post-fight press conference tonight because if I remember, Dana had to go to a dinner. I mean, it was New Year's Day, right? He was going to a dinner. But you had the controversial, and crazy fight, the draw, and you assume there's going to be a rematch. But I'll never forget because – Craig Bersari, he's used to running production. He's not used to being up there on stage. And I guess, we ask, hey, sorry, bro, I know this isn't normally your thing, but are we going to get a rematch right away? And he texts Dana, I guess, and he's like, I don't know. I'll try to reach out to Dana. And I guess like a few minutes later, he gets a text back from Dana. And you got, heartbroken Gray Maynard sitting there who's just like, nearly in tears because the UFC belt was his, and he ends up with this draw. And Craig Bersari just like busts out. He's like, he gets his phone. He's like, no, there's not going to be a rematch. It's like, and you can just see like poor Gray Maynard, man, the face just like.
And that's why they started saying we don't do matchmaking on fight night.
I always love that. Dana, I know you're not going to do matchmaking on fight night, but you're going to ask me anyway, aren't you? Yes, I am, sir. I need a headline. But I don't know why. That one always sticks out to me. Just that moment in time
that's harsh.
Always sticks out to me, UFC 125. Now, I went back and looked at the card, man. It was crazy. Brian Stan beat Chris Lieben. Thiago Silva versus Brandon Vera was there. Dong Young Kim versus Nate Diaz. Clay Guida versus Takanori Gomi. Jeremy Stevens versus Marcus Davis. Dustin Poirier versus Josh Grispy. Brad Tavares, Phil Baroni. Diego Nunes, Mike Brown.
Wow, that is a stacked
crazy,
card.
Right?
Like, if that card happened right now, I think people still would be like, damn, that's a hell of a card.
Yeah, I mean, some people that might be
well, I mean,
a little later
I guess
in
not
their careers.
Currently, but like if that level of fighters currently now, I mean, that's a hell of a card.
It's funny, man.
A hell of a card.
Sometimes our episode numbers just stick out of my head. So there was your quick trip down memory lane. Man,
memory lane.
That's sweet. I like that. Is that the music that you're
even though that's like that's the same jingle-ish that we use for everything.
That's great. So
Low
this-
production value here. You
That's how
know,
we do. That's how we do it on a Thirsty Thursday. I gotta say, Cold Coffee, this has been the week off of live events that did not feel like a week off whatsoever. I'm
No,
as
not so
tired
much.
as an event week, man, and it's been a grind, man. So much going on, of course, with Mayweather and McGregor, which we'll definitely get to. I mean, we did a lot of stuff this week, and we'll go through it all. But in my personal life, Cold Coffee, it's been busy as well, man. My kid started kindergarten. He started training at Extreme Couture.
yeah.
And, I've been trying to take as much – since I'm actually home for a little bit, I've been trying to take as much role as I can in that.
No, it's good.
But, yeah, man.
It's only going to
personally
get
and
worse for you.
Oh,
Like right now, I was actually thinking about that today because I was thinking about, man, I wonder if it's going to affect us taping right now. You know, we'd have to work out something. But I was like, man, it's only going to get busier from this point. I mean, like, Eli's only going to get older. He's going to get more involved in stuff. Luckily, your wife's dialed into it, and she's all about it. And we know that she gets separation anxiety if she's not there. So she wants to step up, but she also likes to have her time with the girls.
yep.
You know, that means, Dad, hey, Dad, I know you normally would be doing whatever, but hey, can you take Eli to soccer
We just-
/ gym / whatever /
We just bring
whatever.
the little man right in here to Boomers on a Thirsty Thursday, set him up with an
We might be able to work
award-winning –
something out. Just put a hat on him and tell him he's our short Latino friend that from Mexico. He does not speak English.
set him up with an award-winning almond milk. Chocolate almond milk is what he likes to
You think
drink.
they got almond milk up in here?
Probably not.
I don't know.
Probably
It is
not.
it is class. Maybe they'll surprise us.
Boomers, they might go get it for us.
They might.
They might just go run down the street and get it for us.
That is a good point.
That's
That
the
is a good
level of
point.
service.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens for you in the future.
It is true. It's going to get busier. All right. The madness. The madness has kind of officially started, and that's kind of where I want to get to. When we did the episode last week, we had just gotten through with the Floyd Mayweather workout. We really kind of lived all of that, and then this week it was the Conor McGregor workout that kicked off the week, and it's a busy week, and we'll get to all of it. I guess first off, though, you know what's crazy is, Cold Coffee, we're like, 10 days away from this fight, 9 days away from this fight. We literally don't actually know if we're going to be there yet still.
That's true.
I'm kind of hoping. I'm kind of feeling good.
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
Somewhat feel confident.
you went to the world tour.
Yeah.
You know, you trekked around the North America.
might have some brownie points with them.
That's what I'm saying. They may be
Maybe.
like, MMA junkie, and then of course Abby and Sandu, they went over the London stop. So MMA junkie was listed on the press register. They see that we've been covering the event,
Yeah.
but we really don't actually guarantee know that we're in yet.
Yeah.
It's a weird feeling.
It is, because it's like the biggest fight of the year. You know, some would say it's the biggest fight ever. But yeah, to not know for sure that you're going to be there, you know, we're planning everything around it. Luckily, at least for us, because we talked about this earlier, we live here.
Right.
You know, it's not a heavy lift for me to hop in my
Right.
car and go over to T-Mobile. You know, now for a lot of these cats, you know, that maybe have bit the bullet and got a flight out here and booked hotel fares, you know, and all that other stuff. You know, I assume they would probably have some sort of maybe inside knowledge or a good feel that they're going to
Before
get
they went
in
ahead and just bought the
before they
ticket.
went ahead and did it. But I guarantee we're probably going to hear some stories of some people that maybe did it. So maybe they did a decent job of sending out the no's right away so those people didn't come. You told me a story of someone that did get a no, so maybe the no's have went out and we're just all the yays, you know, are pretty good.
So I'd feel really
you
bad
know?
if somebody bought a ticket and then
I would too,
can't
but
go.
I bet we're going to probably hear something.
So fingers
I
crossed.
imagine.
We think we're gonna cover the damn thing one way or the other. We just
Right.
hope that we're in the building. We hope that we're
I'll be
you know,
outside
bringing that
listening to the
live.
cheers.
Yeah, you hope that you're in that tent. Just at least so we have some our own proprietary video and all that. But I just want to let everybody know we don't actually know because people are like, hey, you're gonna be there. I don't actually know yet.
Yeah,
I'm hoping.
right.
Fingers crossed. Here's where I want to start though. 9 days out. Are you starting to get fatigued yet? Are you which may be a bad place to start considering we're about to talk about all this stuff.
Yeah,
but
like
are,
I'm so over it. I'm done.
are you getting fatigued yet?
Yeah. Well, I think this week and having the time off leading up to this with no UFC events has been good. So ultimately, I don't feel bad. I mean, I'm getting maybe fatigued a little bit over the sense that everything we do lately has only been this. We haven't
Right.
covered MMA.
Right.
So I'm a little fatigued over the sense that we've only been covering this boxing spectacle. And in that sense, only one fight of a boxing event. I mean, I shot some footage of the undercard guys, but I don't know anything about them. I wouldn't mind learning something about them because, I mean, I dig the sport of boxing or whatever. But, you know, I'm too busy doing the other shit I
Right.
got to do. I can't just sit and, you know, research. And when I'm not working, I'll be honest, man, I'll turn on the Food Network or like Sci-Fi Channel or like my Xbox and play some Fallout, and I turn my brain off. I'm not cramming some of this other stuff in, you know, like some of the days just to crank through this stuff. Yeah, I mean, it gets tiring. But, I mean, ultimately, I don't feel so bad because we haven't been back-to-back events these past couple weeks.
Right.
So I'm not at least fatigued in the sense physically, you know, like we would if we were coming event to event. We're not on the road.
I just meant like mentally, I guess, because I will say this. I do feel kind of bad when I look at MMA Junkie and I look at our lineup.
Yeah.
You know, I look at our stories. And
Yeah.
there's like 10 Mayweather-McGregor stories. You know what I mean? Like, I feel kind of bad, like we're just shoving it down people's throat. But I got to be honest, it's what people are clicking on right now. Like, that's what's getting us traffic.
Yeah.
And, of course, our bosses at USA Today, if we weren't covering it, you know, if we weren't covering it ad nauseum, they would be looking at us like, why are you not exhaustively
Yeah.
covering this? You are, you know, our MMA specialist. You need to be, you know, especially Conor McGregor out, but definitely Floyd Mayweather as well. And I feel like we've been doing a good job as a staff of trying to find fresh angles and new angles and whatever. I feel like we've been doing good at that. But every now and then I look at the lineup and I feel bad. And, of course, there's comments, you know, oh, is it another story about this crap.
Yeah.
So I feel kind of bad about it. But I look at the traffic reports,
Yeah.
and that's what's getting the traffic.
But it's weird. I mean, like, we're so used to every week having a fight. I mean, this is the second week in a row we haven't had a fight. I mean, for us, normally that's like you're feeling really weird. You're like, oh, I
Right.
feel like we should be doing something. Something's wrong. You know, we have to come up with something else to fill the void. We've luckily have had that built in with the fight next week.
True.
You know, in fact, it's weird. I look in the calendar now, and Bellator is happening next week.
Yeah.
You know, but who the hell's talking about that? I'm sorry, Bellator, you know, but I mean, it's going to be overshadowed by the biggest pay-per-view that's ever happened, you know, and it's, I guess, lucky for us that we've had that to kind of fill these 2 weeks, but honestly, 2 weeks without MMA, man, it just feels weird. It feels weird to work for an MMA outlet and not have, you know, we've been lucky in the fact that UFC is just fucking saturated the market with event after event, and then we'll have Bellator fill in the gaps, and maybe we'll have another event. So when we have these weeks off, yeah, it feels a little kind of crazy and weird, but, you know, so in that sense, yeah, I mean, it is weird that we're covering a boxing event, but it's a boxing event with, you know, the largest MMA star in it right now. So it gives us kind of an excuse to pay attention to it.
Yep.
But, you know, thankfully, the UFC kind of did us a favor, and they're like, all right, guys, here, this is going to be crazy. We're going to throw a couple of events. We're going to throw some stuff, but we're going to give you 2 weeks off before. And then we'll go right back to it. Because, look, I mean, we got Rotterdam that's right after that. And then right after Rotterdam, we're going back to Edmonton. Then we got a week off. And then it's overseas. I mean, like.
No, we don't have a week off. Then we go to Pittsburgh.
Oh, that's right, Pittsburgh.
Now, Erickson's
I don't
handling
have Pittsburgh on that one.
Then you're going to Japan.
Yeah, I didn't put that Pittsburgh one. I got to add that to the calendar. Crazy. So, yeah, I mean, we got to enjoy these weeks off. Weeks off. I'm putting air quotes on weeks off, even though we've been shooting shit like every other day.
It was not a week off. All right, well, let's talk. Let's just go right there then. We did the podcast last week, episode number 124. Literally put it in the can, grabbed a little bit of sleep, and then we went to the Conor McGregor workout. The Conor McGregor workout was the day after the Floyd Mayweather workout. It was at the UFC Performance Institute. First of all, the UFC Performance Institute, much better air conditioning than at the Floyd Mayweather.
My Lord.
So it was very comfortable. But let's talk about the setup itself. I mean, the facility is much bigger. It's definitely much more comfortable inside.
Yeah.
I will say I did feel like the media attention was maybe a little greater. Am I wrong there? I mean.
It's weird. Yes, it felt like there was more media.
We had
there was more MMA media.
Microphone stands.
I heard there was a lot of
microphone stands.
I heard there was a lot of boxing media that didn't show up for the UFC, which I thought was odd because.
Why wouldn't you go cover the other guy?
That, and when else are you going to get a chance unless they just don't care, unless they're that off-put by this whole spectacle? They're covering it because they're supposed to.
I didn't even notice that.
When
You're
else
right.
wouldn't they go? Why wouldn't they want to take the only invitation they're ever going to get to go to the UFC Performance Institute to go check out just go check it out? Unless they're just like, screw it, This is not a boxer that they're focusing on tonight. Whatever. This is ridiculous. I don't care. But yeah, there was boxing media that wasn't there for the McGregor one that was there for Mayweather. Mayweather just felt like such a crazy shit show. But I mean, equally, trying to work around some of the bags with Floyd was so incredibly hard that if it wasn't for
the bags with Conor, you're saying?
No, with Floyd.
Oh, okay.
Was really, really tough and to move around.
Oh.
Like that was crazy
Yep.
because the space is so crowded. So it looked like there was a lot of media there. And when I think about it, there was quite a bit for Mayweather, but there was quite a bit for McGregor as well. And maybe so there was more camera guys, but
Maybe
the
that's
space
what it was.
that they
Maybe
had,
there were more camera guys.
It could have been. It
felt
might have been
like
like there was more
It
camera
just
guys.
felt like there was more for Conor. And I'm not trying to be like Conor's bigger than Floyd. I'm not trying to say that. But it just felt to me like there were more cameras and stuff.
But
there.
if you think about it, there were, I think there was less writers that were at McGregor than there were Mayweather, because I think there were a lot of boxing writers.
Right.
You know, that little section that they had taped out that was just Aioli and maybe a couple other people. There were definitely just some people that were there to sort of interview, but I think the bulk of the people that were there at McGregor were people that were doing camera.
Right.
Running some sort of camera. And so all those spots over by the press thing where they had it set up, those were all video cameras. There was a few standalone people. Think about it, in that room that you were with Mayweather, there were camera people in there, but there was all the writers were in there. So I don't know. I still feel like there was a pretty even mix between the two, but I think just with the way that the layouts were spread out, maybe it could have felt like a different
scenario.
It did. It certainly felt like it was easier to move at the Performance Institute.
Right.
But it was also crazy because I felt like Conor just purposely was fucking walking back and forth just to have this little fucking trail of cameras.
Everybody was walking with him.
And at some point, I just kind of stopped and let it move past, get to location, then I'd come in, Even when he was working the bags, he was good in the sense that he was like, all right, guys, hey, come around. Just circle up. I'm fine with that. Just give me enough room to move. But then he'd sit there and he would get down on a bag. And then it was almost like a little ordeal to like decide what bag next, like where he's going to go. He's like, I'm going to choose this bag. And then clear out. And everybody would go over and then surround that bag or whatever.
So the way the whole thing worked out was, we're all sitting there waiting. And it was funny because originally it was scheduled for 3. Conor asked it to be moved up to 2:30 because that worked better with his schedule. Then he didn't show up till like 3:30.
Yeah.
So he moved it up 30 minutes, then waited an hour. Everybody's there. The what's that green car? Is it a Lamborghini? It's a Lamborghini, right?
Lamborghini.
Yeah, so it's a Lamborghini.
It looks just like my Lambo, but
I get
my
Lamborghinis and my Ferraris confused or whatever. So the Lamborghini pulls up. He rolls
right in the front.
Right in the front. It's great. It's so phenomenal. He doesn't bother with the parking spot. He literally just parks it in the street in front of it, which is fantastic. He comes up, walks right in, and starts getting taped up right there. Gets his hands wrapped, and it was crazy, man. The amount of people that just swarmed around him getting his hands wrapped. But it was pretty cool. He started answering some questions right there, and then he jumped into a boxing ring, even though we were pretty damn sure that he wasn't going to jump in the boxing ring. In fact, we were even told he wouldn't jump in the boxing ring. But he did jump in the boxing ring.
But it did happen to be the one that said McGregor Promotions on the bottom.
I had to take a picture of that. It's so great. That boxing ring, pretty cool. That boxing ring is the exact size that's going to be used on the night of. The apparently the rope tension is the same.
Really?
The canvas is the same. They went to great extent to make sure that is an exact replica of what they would be fighting, other than what the canvas says on it, which is amazing. You've got McGregor Sports Entertainment right next to UFC. I took a picture of it. I thought it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
So he jumps in there, but again, as we expected, we didn't see a lot of boxing-specific movements. We definitely didn't see any mitt work or anything like that.
Same from Mayweather though.
True that.
He got in. All he did was he did a little warm up. Eventually put his gloves on, got out of there. But when he was in there, he just shadow boxed with some weights.
Right. True
so,
that.
Yeah, and I heard because he put new canvas down as well, and I heard that's why he wanted to show that one off, and so that's why he went over to that new one. Is what somebody told me.
That's funny.
Yeah,
because you had stationed yourself in the other one.
In the main one, where he always works out. That just shows that he get fucking screwed regardless. So whatever.
So he did that, and then Conor goes on the bags. He does the bags for 12 simulated rounds. 3-minute rounds, kept a high pace throughout, no question about it. What did you think, man? You were there, you were filming it, you've gone back and you've edited the footage. I mean, you're not seeing him with an opponent. You're not seeing him even hitting focus mitts. He's really just hitting a bag. But, the output was high through the course of 12 rounds.
Yep.
Definitely
Sure
in phenomenal condition. I mean, in better condition maybe than we've ever seen him, right? I mean, the guy looks good.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, the one thing after watching it over and over, when you watch it there, you definitely get the feeling that he looks good conditioning-wise. Cardio looks good. I mean, he wasn't trying to kill the bags. So it wasn't like, we could really gauge how strong he was feeling at this weight.
Right.
But one thing I did notice is, he was working the bags. And there was breaks in between where he was picking the bags or maybe talking, did a little bit of walking. But a lot of times while the rounds were going and while he was working the bags, we weren't seeing a lot of, breaks where you're drooping the arms, down and really kind of letting his arms kind of recover, which made me think that his arms are feeling pretty strong. Right,
because that was one question that you had going in. Can he
keep it up?
Right.
And it looked good. So that was good. I thought at that aspect, I was like, oh, okay, But that's just working a bag. That's not tensing up to defend himself.
Right.
So there's a lot more involved. But I thought he looked decent. I thought he looked good. What do I know about boxing? When it comes to the crispness and how he's delivering, how he's rotating his hips, his feet. I wasn't really paying attention to all that stuff. I was mainly looking just to see how he was working the bag, his energy level, and he looked good. But there's just something about watching, like somebody like Floyd that's done it over and over probably for so long, just so seamless that you could the power that even when he was tapping it, there was such a repetition of watching it that I kind of just got lulled into just like hypnotized watching it, knowing that power was always right there. But there was also, I got a feeling like, man, I feel like this dude could punch for an hour straight and he wouldn't get tired. And that's what I guess I was kind of hoping to see out of Conor. And while Conor maybe didn't have the same nonstop flow, he had a really, really good, impressive flow, which made me think that he's going to put up a decent effort and he's going to put a decent battle. But I just don't know how long that's going to be able to last because, again, we weren't seeing him defend. We weren't seeing him do anything. So I'm not sure how long that power is going to be there. But by the end of the night, and this was after he had probably did 10 to 12 rounds of different bags when he went up to the final bag that was against the wall, and he did a solid minute probably at the end, pretty intense, pretty heavy, just 1-2, 1-2 on the back, just hooking it. And I was like, oh, okay. And this is after 12 rounds.
Right.
I was like, he still had gas in the tank for his arm. So that was a really good sign for his conditioning levels and what his arms are going to be. But like I said, he's not defending. He's not blocking. He's not building up anything inside. So,
all right. So we'll hold that thought for just a second. Now, after the workouts were done, we knew before the day started that after the workout was done, he was going to take a shower.
Yep.
And then he was going to come do the scrums.
Yeah.
What we didn't know is that would be a 90-minute wait.
Yeah.
90 minutes for him to take a shower
That's
and
crazy.
to get some food in him and all that.
Yeah.
A little frustrating, not going to lie. It was fun because they had a live stream. Showtime had a live stream the whole time. And one of the cameras was on, and basically the camera was just sitting on a tripod, and it was facing a group of those print reporters, essentially, that were basically getting growingly more and more frustrated as it was wearing on.
So could you hear them?
You could hear it. Their faces are on it. I mean, I don't know who was watching 90 minutes of waiting, but if you go back and watch it, it's pretty funny.
Awesome.
Because the people were just, you could see like the frustration, like.
I was a little frustrated with how some non-broadcast partners got interviews at the end of the night, and the rest of the people didn't. But whatever.
That happens. All right. So we had to wait 90 minutes, but after that, Conor did give almost 40 minutes of a scrum, and it was a pretty solid scrum.
Yeah.
Now, I would not ever ask somebody to sit through 40 minutes of scrum, but what I did do is I went through and edited down a couple of my favorite
36
quotes.
minutes of
Yeah, 36 minutes. Now, a little shorter than that, but some key quotes here and some thoughts, and a lot of these are my questions. Kevin Ioli had some great questions as well. You'll hear his voice in there. It's shorter than 30
Was he one of the
minutes.
disgruntled ones?
Kevin was getting a little frustrated. He wasn't the most frustrated, but he was getting tired of waiting there. I think by the end of the day, by the time we ended up talking to Conor, we've been standing there for about 5 hours or so waiting. So it was tough. So listen, let's listen to the words of Conor McGregor. Again, I trimmed this down a little bit. This was originally a near 40-minute scrum. I've cut it down a little bit. We'll leave it a mystery. Nobody know how long it is.
Now you just got to listen.
Now you just got to listen. You'll see when the end is. But here's some of my favorite quotes from Conor McGregor.
Conor, obviously this is a unique experience for you getting ready for a boxing match. Mm-hmm. What's the process been like? Has it been fun, frustrating, difficult? What's it been like?
It's been a lot of fun. I mean, to adapt from 5-minute rounds to 12 threes has been different. We've had to adjust some things in preparation, but it's been very enjoyable. It's like everything's refreshed. So we've had a great time. It's been a great training camp, a grueling training camp, multiple fights in the training camp, and we're ready.
What's the process been like in terms of becoming a boxer? Because some people are saying, it might be better for you to not try to actually become a boxer in this short of time, but do what you normally do and just adapt a little bit.
Yeah, I've been lacing up the gloves my whole life. People think I'm a day one novice or something. I'm a multiple weight world champion, multiple weight world champion in multiple organizations. So I've been lacing up the gloves my entire existence. So of course we will come with a different approach than people are used to. We will paint many pictures inside the ring, and that's it.
When you talked about in LA, you mentioned the footwork, and you said doing capoeira and karate and all different things. Mm-hmm. What impact do you think that has on him when he's standing and expecting the guy moving one way, and then you're kind of doing that stuff?
You said it best. It forces a man to react off of my creation. He is not creating his own setup. It is simply he is reacting. So when you're reacting and not creating, you're in trouble. And then factor in with the punch power and the precision. It's not going to end well for Floyd, and it's not going to end well for all the people who are doubting me and so convinced that this is what it is. And I am just looking forward to post-fight educating the entire world once again what true martial arts is.
You had said at one point when you were talking about fighting him that you were concerned about Bayless as a referee. I think it was your team that was concerned about Bayless, correct?
No, I mean not necessarily concerned. There's no concern. It's just simply his views. He went public on what he thought the fight was. He dismissed it, or like multiple people in the boxing industry. So straight away, he can't be involved in the event. If he has a conflict of interest in it and he is a certain way, you cannot be involved in it. So
I guess my question out of that, Conor, would be then, are you concerned about a boxing-specific referee who may not understand those movements you're doing?
Of course.
And when you're doing that, would say, hey, let's go, fight and try to get you to fight in a more traditional boxing manner?
Everything is legal. Everything is legal that we have been doing here. I mean, we have brought in, I've had a referee present at every single spar. I've had a Hall of Fame referee, Joe Cortez, here in Vegas. I mean, if that doesn't show the boxing community that I'm taking this seriously, taking these rule sets seriously and looking to abide by this, and of course I'm going to play to the rules and I'm going to implement my own stuff, but we are prepared. I mean, you don't have, go ask Joe what the preparation has been like. You know what I mean? We are prepared here. So
he's my neighbor, I will.
So it will be unusual to everyone watching and to Floyd, of course, but that's not my problem. So they will study it after it's done.
Before most of Mayweather's fights, he has the opponent beaten mentally before they step into the ring. Mm-hmm. Part of the battle for you was always going to be avoiding that. How do you feel you've shaped up in that regard? So
he keeps talking about under the lights. He keeps saying he looks good in the gym. I look good everywhere. I look good in the gym and I look good under the lights. In fact, I look better under the lights. So I am comfortable in this. This is my life. I have been under this spotlight for a long, long time in these mega events also. So
do you think you've taken him out of his comfort zone?
Of course I have. You all know. Listen to his words. Look at his demeanor, his energy levels. It's a man that's accepted it. So that's it.
Conor, when you first started fighting, was it your goal to become like a master at self-marketing? Because I believe that we have the two best self-marketers in the sport, you and Floyd. How did you go about doing that?
No, it wasn't a goal, let's self-market. I'm being who I am. I'm working hard. I'm scheduling bouts with opponents, and I'm telling them what I'm going to do to them and how I'm going to do it, and then I'm going and doing it. And then the train just kind of rolls with it, and it picks up steam as the predictions keep coming true. And the world, like, I don't know how many times I've shocked the world right now, and I'm going to shock it once again on August 26th. So with that makes me the greatest self-marketer, or whatever you call it, but it's just simply me doing what I'm doing. Scheduling bouts, telling them exactly how I'm going to do it, in what round, and then it happens, and then wow, shock, and then on to the next one. And this one is supposedly the big one. Wait and you see when he falls, how you all write him off after this, and it just, he becomes like Aldo. Aldo was him at one stage, then he just becomes nothing, and it's just another day for me. It's just something I'm used to seeing. I'm used to the way people react to me coming into a fight. I don't know how many times they've labeled me a joke. He's a joker. What's this? What way is he moving? What way is he hitting? What way is this? He doesn't stand a chance. And then the poor guy who's in there that faces me has to deal with it. And then he's unconscious. And then on to the next one. And then there's more questions and more doubts. And this will just continue until I call it a day.
When you say they, like, I remember the auto fight. I think it was, maybe slight edge to him, but a lot of people were picking you to win that fight. So, like, who in that fight? I know most people were picking Floyd in this fight, but in that fight, who?
We're talking about a 10-year undefeated run and the only featherweight champion in the world. I know, like I said, it's easy to look past it now because it's done, and Aldo's been slept in 10 seconds. It's actually, it's like your brain can't even realize what way you were thinking before that, because it's just, that was nothing, and then it becomes nothing to everyone. It's like, it's impossible. It's impossible until it gets done, and when it gets done, it's the most easiest thing, and everybody can do it. I'm just used to hearing it. I'm used to feeling the energy about it, and then I'm used to seeing what happens to everything after.
How big of a deal is his age? You said you watched that workout yesterday and saw fatigue.
Yeah, I think his age, I think his size are big factors in it. I mean, maybe not so much the age, but certainly the size.
Because what?
He's too small. He's not gonna take the shots. You ain't never seen me troubled by no small man like that. And that's how straight you're talking. You can say what you want. Nate was 200 pounds. Nate was 200 pounds. This man is 150. And if he's not 150, he's out of shape. If he's 154, 155, 156, he's too heavy. He needs to be leaner to be in peak physical condition. 150, I'd say he's in peak. So if he comes in any heavier than that, he's not in peak physical condition. If he comes in at 150, he's in peak physical condition, but he's 150 pounds. I'm going to be 170 plus on the night. I don't know what else to say. It's over before it even begins. Trust me on that.
Conor, he said that if you make it to the judge's decision, that's a victory for you. Do you buy into moral victories like that just making it to a decision would be a win for you?
I'm going to spark him. I don't care about all that. I'm going to come forward, go at him. He's saying he's going to come at me. I tell you what, right? He said he's going to come at me. I'm telling you all, I'm going to go at him. Let's see who takes a first back step. That'll be the first win or loss in the fight. Who takes a back step first? So you can all sit there ringside and watch it and say, okay, Floyd took a back step first. That's the first defeat of the fight. So there you go. We'll see what happens on the night.
The people who follow boxing and they watch MMA and they're not MMA fans, they look at you guys throwing those overhand shots and they say a boxer wouldn't get hit with that. So you've been in both sports.
Oh, there's many rookies in the mixed martial arts game from a boxing standpoint. There's many rookies in the mixed martial arts game from a kicking standpoint. There's many rookies in the mixed martial arts game from all disciplines, because there's so many disciplines. But you best believe if you see a guy and he's moving like this and he can't box or has no rhythm or flow, you best believe if he gets a hold of you, he's skilled in other areas that can beat you in seconds. So that's the beautiful thing about the mixed martial arts game. There's so many ways to win a fight, and you've got to respect all styles of fighting, because there's a time and a place for every single style. It's just about implementing it at the correct time. So I don't think you can compare me to the mixed martial arts boxing that everyone thinks this is, and I think that's where they might have made an error in this selection. They might have thought this is just an MMA guy, and they've seen MMA guys come through the gym and spar in their camp. But I am not that. I am a different level altogether, and I think it's only as the fight is coming closer, and only then they come face to face with it, They see the confidence, they see the different approach, they see that they've made a grave error, and that's what I believe, and that's what I will show on August 26th.
Your kicks are such a big part in MMA of setting things up. When you take that away, you would think that's one weapon you don't have to set up punches. So how do you overcome such a significant loss?
Like I said, I've been boxing a long time. They all try and close the distance. They all try and get a hold of me. They try and always close the gap. And make no mistake, Floyd is going to try and close that gap as well, because that's all he can do. He's going to try and close that gap and pray that I fatigue, pray that the movement stops, and he can get a hold of it. But it's going to be too late by the time he even has a moment to do that. He's going to be already, his brain is already going to be shook. His money is already going to be took, and his name is already going to be in the Undertaker's book. That's a Joe Frazier quote. So this is what I've been dealing with my whole life. They come, they try and do what they're trying to do, but it's too late by the time they try and do it. So that's it.
Welcome back to the MMA Road Show. That was Conor McGregor from his open workout. Cold coffee. Am I crazy? Am I crazy for starting to give Conor McGregor a little bit of a chance? I'm starting to give him a little bit of a chance, man. I'm struggling with this, right? Like the confidence. I mean, not like Conor McGregor's ever gonna be short on confidence, right? You can't go, oh my God, he was so confident. I feel like he must be feeling it, right? I mean, that's Conor McGregor.
Right.
But I do love it. I mean, first of all, I love the comment where he says, watch who takes the first back step. Watch who moves backwards for the first time. That's the first victory of the fight. Both of us are saying we're going to move forward. I love the comment. I really do love the comment where he says, listen, before I starched Jose Aldo in 13 seconds, everybody thought he was the unbeatable, the great, the impossible. Yep. And now in retrospect you look back and go like it is almost hard to remember Jose Aldo as like that unbeatable champion. Now you look back at him and you're like, I mean, you end up rewriting history in your head almost, and I just love the fact that Conor is saying, like, listen, I'm not saying I'm going to go in there and I'm going to box with Floyd Mayweather. I'm not saying that I'm going to go in there and try to mimic what he does or mimic what other boxers do. I'm going to do what I do. I'm going to do my martial arts. I'm going to do the angles. And it made me think back to the open workout that we saw and the way that he moves. And it is awkward. It is different. It's not what you expect to see. But, he says, listen, man, people are gonna study this afterward. They're gonna write books about it, man. They're gonna see what I did. And I don't know. I mean, I'm struggling, Cold Coffee, because I tell you, like, part of me wants to just say, I'm picking Conor McGregor. I'm picking Conor McGregor.
Right.
And I have reasons. I mean, I do. We saw those two guys on consecutive days, and Conor is so much bigger. I mean, so much bigger. And I'm not talking just in terms of height. Like we said before, it's muscle mass, it's bone density, it's structure size. Like, Conor is significant. I mean, you look at Floyd's hands. They're tiny, man. I mean, I know Conor makes jokes about it, but they literally are, like, tiny hands,
At least they didn't say he had a pea head.
Well, I mean, the pea head. I mean, there's things going on there. So there's definitely the size difference, right? Oh,
thank you, Tammy.
More important than any size difference is the new round of frosty beverages that are being delivered here. Thirsty Thursday. All right, so okay. So the size difference, it's big. It's significant. It's really significant. Conor McGregor, intensity, right? Like, the whole thing about, I think Floyd did misjudge when he was like, nobody knows what it's like to be in there with me with the lights on, with the da-da-da-da-da. I was like, bro, Conor knows. Like, Conor is not going to be taken aback by the enormity of the moment, right?
No, not by any chance.
So no chance that he's mentally, like, blown out of the water, right? He's going to be aggressive. He definitely throws harder. Now they got the 8-ounce gloves. We'll get to that in a little bit, too. We'll talk about our experience there. The uncertainty, the not knowing. I'm seeing all these reasons in my head, I should say. I do agree. Like Conor McGregor, Floyd Mayweather hasn't fought in 2 years, and he is showing up for a boxing match. Conor McGregor is showing up for a fight. He's showing up for, like, his family's reputation, his the future of the McGregor. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like he's showing up with a little bit more intensity, a little bit more desire. He's showing up for a scrap. Like, he's showing up to a fight in which he's agreed I'm only going to use my hands. There's all these things that point to Conor McGregor that I go, dude, like, he's got a real chance here. But, you know, I kind of want to write an article on MMA Junkie and just be like, I'm picking Conor McGregor, and here's why.
Do it.
But here's the thing.
I could probably do that and get away with it.
Well, but here's the thing. Is I could write that article, but I still say here's the hard part. If it's the gun to the head scenario, if there's a dude with a gun to your temple that's like, listen, pick who you want, and for the next 36 minutes we're going to watch it play out. And if you're right, you walk away and have a nice life. If you're wrong, I'm pulling the trigger and you're dead. I mean, you got to pick Floyd Mayweather, right? I mean, because the sensible thing to do here is to pick Floyd Mayweather all along. We just talked about it last week. From the time this fight was first announced, from the moment it was ever even mentioned as a possibility, it was conceived in my head all day. I was like, Floyd by decision, Floyd by decision, Floyd by decision. I'm struggling, man. And I know that sometimes you're the sense of reason. Sometimes you're just a bitter son of a bitch. Am I right that he deserves a little bit of a shot here, more so than most people are giving him, or did I get captivated by the eloquent speaking tones of Conor McGregor?
Yep, you did. No, actually, well, you know, I've said from the beginning, you know, I'm team MMA when it comes to this one, you know, regardless, ride or die. Hopefully I don't ride in the same circles of people that you do, that anybody will be pulling a gun out and put it into my head. If so, I hope I can get to mine first. But I do think after watching him, he, not so much by his words, because I wasn't over there listening to the scrum. I think I've heard enough of the same rhetoric that I don't need to hear anymore to believe that the man believes in himself.
Right.
But I think he does have a way of hypnotizing people with his words that you just want to believe. He makes you want to believe. He makes you want to just go try something different, you know. And I think that's what people like him have, that talent. They visualize things and they work for it. They believe in it so much, and then they talk about believing things so much. And then when they prove it, you're just like, man, maybe that shit does work, you know. Guy says he can walk on water. Holy fuck, he can walk on water, you know. But what impressed me, and I touched on it earlier, was watching just the conditioning of his hands, the conditioning of his arms. I even heard some guys commenting about his footwork. Thought his footwork had came a long way. Well, that footwork, you know, I think it shows a guy that's been in the fighting sports for quite some time. Has it been a guy that's been boxing and doing the footwork that we see from boxing for so long? No, but he was still he's shown vast improvement. So with improvement, and then also with just seeing something with the way he was working his arms and he was working the bag, made me think that he's going to fare stronger for longer in the fight than I initially thought. So by thinking that, I already think he's got a better chance. Realistically,
wisdom,
I think he has a better chance.
Conventional wisdom says late is not good for him.
Right, because what we saw when it came to the first time we saw Diaz, he couldn't control his energy. You know, and these are using his words, when it came with a guy that pushed him out of his element. So he overexpended himself. That could very well happen here, and especially as the rounds go. What benefits him in this is the fact that it's 3-minute rounds. 3-minute rounds. I think for these fighters, 3-minute rounds, they're fucking laughing. They're like, holy shit, 3 minutes? This is awesome. I could fit 2 of your rounds in one of my normal rounds. So I think that gives him an incredible boost of confidence. And I think if he's – and the thing is, when everybody says, oh, it's a fight, it's a fight, it's a fight. It's a fight if – and it's not just the gloves. It's a fight if he's capable of working a strategy to make it a fight. Because it's still a boxing match. It is a boxing match until he finds a way to make it a fight. Because when he goes in there, I mean, it's not like he can do anything that is a normal fight. He can't throw no elbows. He can't do anything. It's going to come down to his footwork. It's going to come down to how he throws, how he counters, how he evades the punchings. That's boxing. It's a boxing match until he finds some way to make it a fight. And these 8-ounce gloves, that isn't going to do it. That I think helps him, even though there's a lot of people that swear it's going to help Floyd as well. Maybe it comes down to that thing of, I may not be as good as I once was, but I'm good once as I ever was.
Right.
Maybe this will give Floyd that little bit of boost and motivation as well. He might say, well, shit, I was finishing guys in 8-ounce gloves. I'm feeling pretty good about this. Maybe I feel like my power. Maybe he can maintain the strength and the power when it gets to the later rounds. But what I saw on Conor does give me better thoughts of he's going to fare better. But honestly, I don't care if I'm wrong. I'm rooting for the MMA guy to pull it out. That's why I'm not an analyst. That's why I'm not a whatever.
No.
But I feel like he has a heck of a better chance now, after watching, I'm just speaking of what I've seen him now, than when I saw him months and months ago. Like, this dude has done work.
But that's why,
You know?
that you're exactly right. And that's why I think I'm struggling, because if I say I'm picking Conor McGregor, right, granted, I know that's a long shot, right? But Conor has proven me wrong so many times. Conor has proven the world wrong so many times
Right.
that I feel like there's something in this. I feel like there's an opportunity. But it's weird. So I say I'm picking him. I mean, what does that mean? Like, I mean, I'm not saying, and if I'm wrong, I'll quit my job, or if
Right.
I'm wrong, I'll sell my house, or I'll give away my house, or if I'm wrong, the trigger will be pulled
Yeah.
to my temple. So I don't want to be disingenuous where like it looks like I'm just going out there clickbaiting people to say I'm picking them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I want my opinion to be literally my opinion.
Right.
And to me, like, if somebody says, "Listen, John, I have my last $100. It's my last $100."
Oh, please don't anybody listen to us and then bet on shit.
But it's my last $100, and I, for whatever reason, rather than just go spend it on $100 of alcohol, I am going to
go buy dinner. Do something.
I feel the need to gamble it on this fight. You know what I mean? What do I do? I mean, like, Floyd Mayweather's the right choice, right? The guy that's 49-0, the guy
It's hard to go against
that
that.
has never lost, the guy that has been
Right.
doing this. But I mean,
But if
okay,
you got that $5, how about you bet 95 on Floyd? You put the $5.
now
on
you're
Conor.
talking. Now you're
Hedge your
talking.
bet.
Hedge your bet a little
Hedge
bit.
your bets. I guess it's tough because I guess a lot of times, there's picking somebody and then there's rooting for somebody. Maybe your brain is like, I got to pick Floyd because if that's the smart, but I'm rooting for Conor.
Right.
You want to see the MMA guy. At least for me, I'll just say, fuck it, I'm picking him because I'm
Well, no,
stupid.
it is
it's
a
the
little
same
bit
thing
different.
for
It's
me.
a little different.
But it is different.
It's
There's
normally
one
in
thing,
an MMA fight, it's not fair for us to be like, I'm cheering for this guy. But
Yeah.
like we talked to Dana the other night, this is your guy versus their guy. It's not
Right.
two of our guys fighting.
And it's a spectacle, just like when you listen to the way that the commission was trying to talk about when they were trying to justify, and it sucks that they were put in that position, justify why they would allow certain changes. That it's a spectacle. It's not a normal fight. It's not a normal thing. I'll be the first one. I mean, like, you watch us on presser. I don't cheer. Inside, I'll cheer when a guy gets a good one, but I'm happy for the one guy and I'm sad for the other guy. I appreciate everything that these fighters go out and do. I mean, that's how I make my living. So I hate to say I root for one guy and I don't want to root against another guy, but I do get happy for when they win, and I feel bad for these guys when they lose. So in a case like here, I'm watching an MMA fighter go against a boxer. My heart's like, yes, I want the MMA guy to prove, because I hate hearing all these people try that have, for so many years have turned a blind eye to boxing or to MMA, said it's overly violent. It's this. The guys that do it are thugs and whatever. And I feel like I've spent so many years defending these people in a sense where I'm like, just got to meet them. Go talk to them. Go talk to these people. I mean, when you look at half the fighters these days, they're all college grads, a lot of them, or some of them were lawyers. We got real estate agents. You got people that are firefighters. They're doing all walks of the life. So you got all makes and models. And so it's hard for me to not root for an MMA guy when he's in a situation where it's an MMA against the world, MMA against somebody else. So I guess where I always pick, I pick with my heart. That's why I lose betting so much. So that's why I'll say, like, yeah, when I say I'm picking Conor, it's because I'm rooting for Conor. I'm rooting for MMA as opposed. But yes, is it the smart bet? Would I do the same thing if there was a person in the gun to my head? Maybe not, but it certainly would make for a great story if he went out and said first, I'm picking this guy, and he does pull the miracle out. I guarantee nobody won the Olympics. I always think back in the miracle on ice.
Right.
Nobody was picking the USA team then, and it was going against a juggernaut that no one would ever beat. And that little team that did. So I believe in miracles. Miracles can happen.
And I guess the thing is, I see paths to victory, right?
Yeah.
And I think they're marginal.
Yeah.
But I feel like Conor is special enough, physically and mentally, that he can follow those paths.
He
you know what I mean?
capitalizes so much on those little things that the Jose coming in, the 13 seconds, it was because Jose contacted him. If I believe Jose made contact as well, but Conor had a better contact and was also able to kind of roll off a little bit of the punch that Jose got him with. So I mean, or Jose, whatever. I feel like we haven't seen him. I'm like now double guessing.
The guy sucks so bad we don't even say his name right anymore.
Jose Aldo. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Dana wants to call me unicorn, man. I'll just say it's the miracle. We got to dub it, man. What is it? Miracle in the ring, man, or something. Miracle in Vegas.
You keep working on that.
I'm working. I just thought of it. It's gonna happen. Now I'm gonna will it to happen. Once I come up with a lingo or a jingle for it, I'll come up with it just in time for the fight.
All right.
Miracle on
I'm
something.
gonna work on that. All right. Let's okay. So kind of along these same lines. After the workout was over that night, something pretty interesting happened. Right. I got a text with some footage. It was the sparring footage, right? And shortly after I got a text from the sparring footage, Dana White took to social media and posted the social media footage himself. And then shortly after that, an email got sent out to all media members. Not all media members, but a lot of media members that had that footage in there of Conor McGregor sparring Paulie Malignaggi. And I thought it was so weird. I mean, just bizarre to get that email, right? But fun. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, awesome. I mean, I definitely posted it right away, and it was fun to debate. So first things first, Cold Coffee, when that footage comes out, did you have a problem with that? Because here's the thing is it's a little weird for the UFC to be posting sparring footage, right?
Yeah.
That I'm assuming they don't necessarily own. Now, it should be noted, it wasn't like it was the Performance Institute cameras, which that might be a little weird, right? I think that footage from those cameras is supposed to be like, it's promised as secure.
Well, it's only in the octagon as well. Those cameras only circle the octagon.
Good point.
Only other cameras there would be security cameras.
You're
I
right.
thought about that today. I was like, why don't they just go there? I know somebody has them. I was like, well, the cameras are only around the octagon. So as long as they didn't spar in the octagon.
But the promise is that those cameras,
yeah,
the footage is never given to anybody else.
Yeah.
And if they posted that, it would probably look pretty shitty.
Yeah,
But that wasn't. This was footage from people that were on the ground, that were doing things like that. So first question, did you have a problem with the UFC sending it out? Because I thought it was a little weird, but then again, I don't know.
I'm all about the point where he talked a lot of shit and was like, just produce the footage. Just didn't happen. So the fact that somebody did, I'm glad we just saw it. It sucks that it looked like there was some edits in it. If it was just like, say,
well, it was 20 seconds of the 12-round sparring session.
Well, but it was two different views.
That's true,
that
too.
was put together. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like we shot the end of the NSAC hearing, the nutsack hearing the other day, and that was one seamless feed, just record and go, and posted it. There's something about that raw footage feel when it's actually raw.
Right.
When it's been pieced together, it's not quite as raw anymore. Then, then you're kind of putting out a put-together piece that somebody's already kind of done it, so it kind of loses its, maybe not value. I mean, it's still better than nothing, so people respect it because they actually saw it. But it was picked. The shots were picked. Anytime you see two different angles put together like that, that's not one seamless camera shot, that there was choice, there was thought, there was directive behind, there's motive behind what you're seeing. So then it's just like, okay, yeah, it's great you want to release some stuff, but you only released a very, very minute portion of a very dedicated sliver.
Hard.
I would have rather have
hard
just
to gain
seen,
anything from it. Hard
yeah,
to gain anything.
But
from it.
and it just, I would have rather have seen, give me a round, give me a minute of just action, just a minute straight. Then I'd be like, okay, now I can see something more realistic.
Right.
Just like, when you hear Showtime come out and they said, yeah, they gave us footage, but everything was glorified Conor highlights. And I get it. If you're showing boxing or whatever and every shot is Conor having the upper hand, yeah, that's great. You sent me 30 minutes of footage, but if 20 minutes of the footage is the exact same sort of feel,
right,
you can't tell a story with that.
Yeah.
You can't. There's no arc. There's no anything I can really do. I mean, so I can see where they're like, well, it was all sort of repetitious, because if it's all just Conor getting the best of him, that's great, but that's not clearly tons and tons of raw footage. That's picked through footage.
True.
So I don't know. I just wish, if people want to say, hey, yeah, we offered up footage, offer up footage. Don't make an edit and then offer it up.
It's still
maybe
got a
compress
shitload
it.
of clicks.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, that's because we heard so much about them that just the fact that we could say anything. It almost would have been better if they just showed one angle.
Well, here's what's funny. So, in watching that footage, again, you're talking about, I think, about 20 seconds total of footage. If you take the two different, not only the two different angles of that one clip, but also there's a second clip. If you put it all together, I mean, you're talking about like 20 seconds total. Conor's technique isn't the cleanest. There's no question about it. It's not the cleanest boxing technique. But
Right.
It does land. There's no
I thought
question
Paulie
he lands.
looked just ridiculous.
Right.
The way he was keeping his hands down and he looked so tired. And granted, it made sense when he said he just got off the plane the day before. He wasn't expecting to spar.
And I believe
12
this was,
rounds.
I think he said this was one of the later rounds.
Yeah, I mean, because he got it when Conor really clocked him. I mean, he had that back arm up kind of on the back up against his chin, but it wasn't the forward hand, so he wasn't guarding the front of his face where the shots would be coming from, and his front hands down. I don't know, maybe that's his style or whatever, but he was leaning forward. He was definitely fatigued, and then he ate that. He was eating a shot because he leaned forward. I was like, what fucking kind of defense is that? I thought maybe he was just like almost he had been like, here, let me just taste your power. Like he was just like, go ahead, I can take it,
Right.
I can take it, which maybe was what he fucking said before. He said he was talking shit, and Dana even said he was talking
Shit the whole time.
shit in between that round. Maybe he was like, go on, give me your best, and dropped his hands in a moment of talking shit, but we don't see it. And then he eats a shot like, haha, where normally that would be like, oh, dude, good one, because you kind of see him smile a little bit. But when I'm looking at him, thinking like, this guy was a world champion, like he looked bad at that point.
And
but
Conor's technique did not look crisp and clean.
No.
But that's kind of what I'm expecting on Fight Night is that, first of all, I think Conor's going to outweigh Floyd by 20 pounds.
That's what it looked like to me when I was watching. He looked like a guy that felt like he was the bigger guy, rooted into the canvas, and like, I'm just going to throw some things right now, or I'm going to push you down. And we even heard of that. That was a problem that Conor had been doing with some of the others. Was pushing the guys down, like trying to hook it.
I think that's what he's going to do, man.
He's got to wear him down.
I think he's just going to walk forward, not give a shit about Floyd, because Floyd's not a knockout artist.
Right.
And again, we're talking about a guy that he's going to outweigh by 20
Right.
pounds. We're talking about a guy that's going to walk into the ring at 150 pounds, right? He
Right.
said it, 150 pounds. So in MMA, that's what? Dominic Cruz?
Right.
Dominic Cruz. We're talking about Dominic Cruz. And I'm not trying to be offensive to Dominic Cruz. I mean, I guess maybe we should use the current champion, which Cody Garbrandt can crack.
Yeah.
Cody Garbrandt can crack. But Cody Garbrandt's a knockout artist.
He's not fighting welterweights.
Dominic Cruz isn't a knockout artist. So I think the Dominic Cruz comparison might be the right one. We're talking about Dominic Cruz walking in there, a point fighter, great at angles, great at combinations, all those things, against Conor, who's going to walk in at 170 pounds, who's just going to be looking to load up on that left, who's not necessarily going to care what angle it comes from, who's going to press down on the head and throw uppercuts. He's used to landing in the clinch like that. I mean,
Yep.
I'm telling you, it's so – I'm starting to see these pieces where I'm like, in the beginning I thought, no way. And now, even though I saw that clip where Conor's technique isn't clean, I'm like, but he can still land. It doesn't have to be clean. It doesn't
Right.
have to be pretty. Like, I don't think it's going to be pretty. It's not going to be pretty. It's
Right.
going to be gritty. It's going to be ugly. But again, if you ask me to put my house on it, I can't do it. But
See, I don't own a
think
house.
there's
It's easy for
See,
me to put
you
my house on
put
it.
right, you could
I'm
just
putting
move.
my house on it.
I still
I'm
don't-
putting the house that I own on it.
Or you could put Paula Malignaggi Crack House on it.
Oh.
And can I just say, I still care less about the Paulie Malignaggi drama angle. Just like I said last week, I'm not excited by it, but we did get the address to the house, and there's
Yes.
part of me that really wants to go shoot it.
I mean, it is in not a great area, but it looks like a neighborhood. I mean, it was on, I think, a Zillow, or like one of those real estate websites.
Right.
I think it listed that the property was like $230,000.
God damn!
You know, which by no means
It's
is
just one of those old Vegas neighborhoods,
it's just
right?
like an older Vegas neighborhood, but it's not a run-down crack house. It's just North Las Vegas, which is typically not the best area in town, but if the website's listed in the house, it's like a 6-bedroom house. It doesn't have a pool in the backyard. Oh, heavens forbid. But I mean,
Cole Coffee would live there.
I do like a pool. But I mean, it's a 6-bedroom house. I mean, granted, it's probably maybe not the fanciest or whatever, but I don't know. I mean, it just looks like an older neighborhood. I'm not sure what he was expecting. You know, I mean, people got to realize Vegas is not all the Strip. There's a lot of old neighborhoods. There's a lot of new neighborhoods, and depending on where you're at, every area has its own, just like anywhere, has its own vibe, its own feel. And this happened to be an older area. The houses around, I mean, nothing's flashy. But I mean, granted, I mean, it's an over $200,000 house, 6 bedrooms. I mean, I imagine that there weren't like holes in the walls and whatever, but I'm not sure what this guy was expecting. But yeah, I mean, I would love to maybe just go check it out so we can just see what it looks like. You know,
I feel like
I'd be
doing
interested to even just go talk to the neighbors and say, did you know who was staying here? Do you know what he was saying about what this area and what this house was? Just to see. Because I kind of
I
felt
feel like
it.
there's a video there of some kind that people
There
would
is.
like.
I mean, like part of it. I mean, and I feel bad in the sense of because if it does prove that he's just whatever. I just didn't want him to be like shitting on our city for no
Right.
reason. But honestly, that's a part of town I don't want to live in because when I first moved here, I went through some of those areas. I was like, man, this is fucking ghetto. But it's street by street. Every place is different. Even more people probably look at where I live now and think it's ghetto. But I mean, I grew up in different parts where, back home I lived in some ghetto parts. It's unique. They're different areas. And then once you're there, turn out to be like the nicest people that you know. You
Right.
just can't judge a book by its cover. And that's probably his case. You had a guy coming in. I'm not sure how Paulie normally lives, what his area. Maybe it threw him off and he was just completely freaked out by it. Whereas any other normal person might be like, it is what it is. I mean, I certainly don't stay in a $250,000 house. So I'm sorry, that's a crackhead or that's a crack house to you in whatever world that you live in. But anything over $200,000 is not a crack house. Anything over $100,000 ultimately is probably
Especially
not a crack
Vegas.
house. Especially Vegas. There's a lot of cheap, good proproperties. So
All right, well, stay tuned. We might shoot some there.
Yeah.
How about the Sin City Surprise? Is that good enough? That's not good enough, is
what
it?
for the?
If it was an upset, the Sin
I
City
still
Surprise.
want a miracle in there.
I was looking for like miracle, like
I know. I was trying to look
synonyms
for
of
miracle, and my search says Miracle Gorilla because I was thinking of his tattoo.
Miracle Gorilla is what you search for.
The last one was.
How about
I did
how
Irish
about
Miracle.
The miracle next to the Monte Carlo.
I was like the Miracle Mile. That's already been taken.
That has been taken. That's a shopping mall.
What isn't? Oh, but wasn't that the? Oh, I'm thinking the Green Mile, the movie.
That's
I was
where
like,
somebody
I was
died.
like,
All right. Well, listen. This might not be
Sin
a
City something.
This
Yeah.
might not be a good time to say this, but if you like what you're hearing, do us a favor. Go into iTunes and take a second to subscribe. First of all, of course, rate us, review us, leave a little feedback. I love reading those little messages that people leave, good or bad. Hopefully good, but I always love reading those. So, all right, listen.
Murphy's Miracle.
Murphy's, what
Like
is that?
Irish Murphy's. It's like Irish name. And we got to think of like an Irish whiskey that starts with the M. McCormick's Miracle. Because I'm gonna be.
It's already
wasted.
McGregor's. Shouldn't it just
Yeah,
be
McGregor.
McGregor's?
Yeah, there ain't no whiskeys after. Are there any McGregor whiskeys?
I'm sure there is.
There probably is with that name.
Absolutely there are. All right, listen.
We'll work on it. I need
all
to
right.
have. Maybe we should have some Irish whiskey and properly think of it.
I like what you're saying. Let's get to there in just a minute. All right, so here's how our week continued, by the way. Tuesday, I'm going to go ahead and tease it. I don't even know if we're supposed to do this, Cold Coffee.
What are you doing?
We shot at the Ultimate Fighter house. We went to the Tough 26 house, and we interviewed all 16 cast members.
There are some cuties. This
Sir,
season.
I just look
There
at them
are
as
some.
athletes. To me,
Oh, of course, I do
males,
too.
females, all the same. I didn't even notice.
I think there's quite a cute dudes as well.
First time we've interviewed the first time
I'm an equal opportunity cutie giver.
First time we've interviewed the Tough Cast.
They were awesome
at the house. We've interviewed the Tough Cast in the past, and you know what? I've honestly been telling the UFC that I'd like to do this more often, and they just kind of been. No, they don't get to it. And I'm really happy that they let us do this because, I don't know, I think it's kind of fun to just have, even if it's just a couple minutes of the clips of each one to kind of learn a little something about them, to kind of know about them, kind of going into the season. So we'll release these after the Mayweather-McGregor fight because the show debuts the week after the May-Mac fight. It's the quickest turnaround in the history from closing to debut in the history of shooting The Ultimate Fighter. But it was cool. We got to interview all 16 cast members. What was really weird, Cold Coffee, and I don't know, you were pretty much in the shooting area the whole time. I had to go throw some stuff away, and it was bizarre. I kind of walked into the kitchen, and like 8 of the cast members were like sitting there like eating and cooking and talking, and it was just like kind of like virtually walking into a TV set.
Yeah,
you know
because
what
that's
I mean?
all you ever see them
like,
doing. That's all they do.
I was like, it was
with their
just,
cameras around rolling.
there was cameras, and I was just like, is there a trash can anywhere? You know, they're like, yeah, it's right over there. So it's kind of funny. So anyway, just teasing that. We won't talk too much about it because obviously we can't, number one, because we'll get sued. But number two, just I want to let you know that we have that coming. But did my best to avoid spoilers. I think it's funny, like, talking to people. Like, you kind of end up in your head kind of piecing things together, like how some things might have happened. Mm-hmm. But I always go out of my way. Like, I like avoiding spoilers because I got to watch the show for the for my job, and I kind of hate like learning the answers, but I think I have a good feeling about a couple, and it sounds like there were some pretty good fights. So I don't know.
Yeah, can we call it the fucking Miracle on Ice?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
The great fucking miracle.
It's T-Mobile, but there's nothing. I can't think of anything that starts with a T, like the
greatest miracle.
It's on. What's the address for T-Mobile Arena? It's on Las Vegas Boulevard. So that's.
Yeah, I'm leaning back to the miracle near Monte Carlo.
So, yeah,
or whatever
I'm telling you,
it's
the miracle across from Monte Carlo. I like that one.
We'll work on that one.
That's great.
Yeah.
The Wonder on the west side of the Strip.
Whoa, you're getting better. I like it. I like it.
What's the little shopping area called?
The park?
The park? All right, we're going to work on that. All right, so that's what we did.
Maybe
we got that
some
coming.
whiskey.
And then Tuesday night, that was like your leprechaun, was it?
That was my leprechaun.
Tuesday night, Dana White Contender Series started out as the worst one. We've been at all. Well, I've been at all 6. You've been at 5.
We thought that was going to be the first one where they didn't actually give a prize away.
We did. It started out pretty rough, to be honest with you. The first couple fights were not great, but it ended up pretty strong. The last 2 were great, and I got to say, Charles Berg getting in there is pretty cool because not only is he trained under our good friend Saif Saud in Dallas, but also just a story of a guy that wins and then wants to get back in, and 5 weeks later he's back in and he wins again and he makes his way in. I don't know. It was pretty cool. I thought that was, for somebody to volunteer to come back 5 weeks later was pretty solid. So ended up being a good show. I love those fights. I really do. Every Tuesday night. This one started out a little slow, and probably part of it was the fact that our afternoon had been shooting at the Tough House all day. But it was capped off by Dana White himself, the man in charge of Dana White's Contender Series. Also, you may know him as the UFC President. He actually, for the first time in 6 weeks, stopped back in the back. He talked to us about the future of the Contender Series, what's going on there. He talked to us about a little bit of Mayweather-McGregor. He even broke some news. Kevin Lee, Tony Ferguson.
Thank you, Dana.
Interim title fight. He broke all that. And
we broke it because you said it.
Wow, just that's what I do.
He wasn't giving it up when Brett. He just kind of smirked. He's like, "Oh, do you know who it is?" He's like, "Yeah," and then he didn't say anything until one John Morgan said, "Oh, is that Lee Ferguson?" Yeah, yeah.
That's what I've learned in my
Yeah.
years with Dana. Like, if you set him up to be general, he's going to be general. But if you just ask specifically, he's pretty much going to answer. So
Would be the Aaron Go Bra miracle.
that is terrible. All right, listen. While I think we're going to have to drink some whiskey and try to figure this out. While we do that, here's the Dana White scrum that we got. A handful of reporters.
Brah. Aaron Go Brah.
This is Dana White, UFC President, after the Dana White Contender Series, talking about a handful of topics. Here you go.
Dana, we're 6 weeks into this now. Talk about kind of what this series has been for you so far, if it's panned out the way you like it.
Yeah, I love it. For a long time I've been talking about doing weekly shows, and I think I finally came up with the perfect concept for weekly shows. I love it. You see that today there were a couple of fights that I didn't really love, but every week, there's been incredible fights, and I love this kid, Bird, for coming back twice and finishing both times. I respect it, so I'm gonna give him a shot. And then the other kid, fucking beast.
I was going to say, bringing guys back, twice in 6 weeks, it's got to be a tough ask to do that, right?
He asked to do it, I guess. I guess it was him. He wanted to come back and do it again, and he did it again, so gotta respect it.
This was an eight-week test run, I guess, kind of a pilot run, right? have you guys committed to more? Do you know that this is going to keep going?
It's doing very well. It's killing it for us. So, and I have other plans for this show too. Yeah, so this is going to keep going.
Would it be something that eventually maybe takes over where the Ultimate Fighter slot is?
Oh no! Everybody's trying to kick the Ultimate Fighter out. The Ultimate Fighter's still killing it. The Ultimate Fighter still pulls great numbers. Last season was one of the best seasons I think we've ever had, and the ratings killed it. So. The Ultimate Fighter ain't going anywhere.
But for sure, this is a cheaper, faster, show that you could deliver to the public.
It's not cheap.
Comparing to the tough,
No shows are cheap, especially one Snooper on.
How many episodes do you see doing this? Would this be like literally every week, or do you do seasons?
So we'll do seasons. Yeah. So the first season wraps, I think, the first week of September on this one, and then we'll take a little break and then start over again.
Do you know when yet, or is it still kind of?
No, this is all still work in progress. But honestly, I'd rather do. I could do this every Tuesday for the rest of my life. I love it.
Tough on your matchmakers, right? You're giving out more contracts than they probably wanted.
They got to figure it out. That's what we're paying them for.
Is this a show that could have international installments eventually?
No, because I can't go internationally. So
you couldn't have another version of you.
No, but we could bring in guys. We could bring in guys. That are international. We could bring in guys from other countries for this. Yeah.
You mentioned Snoop before. He's been pretty well received as a broadcaster. Kind of silly on the broadcast, but is that something like you guys are exploring?
So let me show. So I'm playing with all the numbers on this thing right now. And the thing just keeps growing every week, right? On Fight Pass. So let me think of the right. So when this started out, regular broadcast was like this. Snoopcast was here. Over the last several weeks, it's gone just like this.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Is that something you guys are thinking of, expanding the horizons of how you do broadcasts in other ways, different ways to present the product, different people coming in, that kind of thing?
I don't know. I think on a show like this, it's fun to play around with stuff. Plus, on this show, we get to try out new guys. Because calling fights isn't easy. It's a tough gig, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how this thing plays out and progresses. But I like trying new things, and if you look at this show, The Ultimate Fighter, and Looking for a Fight, they all kill it. Looking for a Fight kills it on YouTube, and we just did a deal with YouTube for Looking for a Fight, so that show ain't going anywhere either. So, but I gotta.
How many shows can you do?
I gotta get back out of it. Yeah. They started asking me to do a podcast. I'm like, get the fuck out of here, man. I'm at my wit's end right now. I actually have to get back on the road for Looking for a Fight. So I'm going to go. So we're going to do the next one in Cabo. So that'll be fun.
Of course.
Looking for a Fight, Cabo. Then we're going to Cuba. Yeah, I'm only going to fun places for the rest of the year.
We're about 1 week for the whole city gets burned, with the Maymack fight?
1 week till what? Yeah. No,
to
it's
get
we're getting there. We're getting down to the clock's ticking. I'm actually going to watch Conor spar after this. He's sparring tonight. So
Again?
yeah.
How many spars did you watch?
Paulie's coming?
No, Paulie. I saw that one already. That one's Paulie made the right decision to leave that camp.
How many ones did you watch?
I've only seen the Paulie one. That's the only one I've watched. Yeah. I'm going back tonight to check him out again.
How are you feeling about his chances? I mean, this is different from a UFC fight because you're not promoting both sides, right? I mean, this is
Yeah,
this is your guy.
It's me and McGregor, man. Obviously, I stopped doubting the kid a long time ago, and I'm hoping for this knockout. I'm hoping for him to knock Floyd out.
We see that you guys are filed as a co-promoter now. Did something change that now you're? Because at first you guys.
Well, no, I think we had to. We're one of the promoters, so I think we had to become a co-promoter.
But it doesn't really change anything. I think
No,
people were trying
and
to see,
we are co-promoters of the event. I think at the time we didn't know that we would have to get a boxing license, but I guess we do. And it's just, I just didn't want our name on any of the stuff. It's a Mayweather event. We're co-promoters, but that's all ego shit.
So we still don't see the brand out there.
No, I don't care about that.
You've always been a boxing guy, so I mean, now that you guys get the license going forward, is that in the plans in the future to do boxing events?
You never know.
We all saw the Zuffa Boxing T-shirt, right?
You never know. If and when, I will let you guys know.
With the drama that came on with Paulie and all that sort of stuff that kind of happened, was there ever a call from Conor's team or anybody to try to push toward Showtime to take him off the call? And do you think he should maybe remove himself from it?
Because he's doing the broadcast.
Because he's doing the broadcast.
Oh, yeah. Let me tell you what, I will tell you this. Last thing I want to do is get into a beef with Showtime or any of that stuff, but we gave them a ton of the footage of the sparring, and they denied it because they didn't want to make Paulie look bad. Yeah, they didn't show any of it. They had a ton of the sparring footage, and they wanted to use zero. So, he was saying all that stuff, and I have nothing against Paulie. I don't even know the guy. I don't know him. And you know me, man. When you start talking shit, I actually felt bad for the guy. I actually felt bad for him. And as far as his health goes, he made the right decision to leave that camp. And if I had to bet, on it, I'd bet that's why he did leave. You can talk about, listen, if he wasn't at the right hotel or whatever that type, I've never heard that kind of shit before coming from a sparring camp. But if that was the case, we would have helped with hotel or whatever the deal was. But I think he made the decision for his health, and I think it was the right decision. And I'm not talking shit. What do I care? It makes no difference in my life whatsoever. This was a deal between Conor and this boxer and whatever. But I'm just telling you, he made the right decision for his health because it was a 12-round straight ass whooping. It was as bad of an ass whooping as I've ever seen.
So what pushed you over the edge to release the footage when Showtime wouldn't? You were just like, people need to see the truth?
Yeah, well, you got people out there saying, first of all, Paulie's out there for 6 or 7 days saying, he doesn't hit hard, he doesn't, he can't box and all this other stuff. It's like, I'm pretty sure I was just there for a 12-round ass whooping. And Paulie was talking shit the whole time, the whole time. He's a tough guy. He's a tough guy. Like I said, I got nothing against the guy. I don't even know him, and then he said I was kissing his ass after. I can tell you that never happened either. And what do I care? I don't give a shit. I don't know the guy, but for his health, he made the right decision to leave that camp.
And we will have the name of the referee in a few days, or on the next days. Is that something that worries you? Like worries Conor? No, he's worried about refereeing and taking exactly the movements for the judge.
Listen, this isn't going to be a boxing match with Floyd Mayweather. It's going to be a fight. Conor's going to go in there to fight him, and Conor's not going to go in there and try to outbox Floyd Mayweather. He's going to go in there and try and knock him out. So, whatever game, Conor's very smart when it comes to fighting, and I'm sure he has a game plan, and I don't get involved in game plans and all that shit. We will represent him with the Athletic Commission. We're going to try to get 8-ounce gloves. And yeah, we want the right referee in there, and some referees have already come out and basically talk shit about the fight. We obviously don't want those guys reffing, and they won't. So, yeah, we're getting down to the wire here.
You said that was the first time you watched Conor spar. Did you almost breathe a sigh of relief that he looked good?
Oh, yeah. I mean, listen, people are talking shit about Malignaggi now, so the guy's a 2-time world champion. And Conor won all 12 rounds, except for the 2 points that were taken away. He got 2 points taken away during the fight, so those are the only 2 that Paulie won.
For what?
Kept pulling on his neck, and, I think the ref was hard on him on purpose to say, hey, they're going to be looking at all this little shit that you do. Every little thing that Conor does, they're going to be all over him. So, he was taking points, and so really the thing came out 10-2. Unless you want to be really nice and give the guy another round. And Conor's still a smoke show.
At his media day, and I'm sure this isn't news to you, but he said he wants to do both. He wants to do MMA and boxing moving forward. Yeah. What do you think of that?
Listen, this one was a gimme. We'll see. When you deal with Conor, I'll take it day by day.
There's been rumors that there's big fines built into Conor's contract for stuff like you were saying, point deduction, that kind of thing. Is there specific things built in? Or?
Wait, and if he does anything outside of the,
would like
rules of boxing.
Would like a natural boxing infraction count, or is it something that's like blatant, like MMA?
Yeah, it's got to be fucking head kicks, or elbows to the face, a knee. It's got to be something severe. Listen, there's a lot of dirty shit that goes on in boxing, and stuff that you wouldn't. Well, I'll give you an example. If you look at the fight that he had with. Where he knocked him out when the ref wasn't looking. What's
Ortiz.
that kid? Huh? Ortiz, yeah. So when Ortiz was you saw how they acted when that happened, so you can imagine if Conor does something out of line, yeah.
But you're expecting it to be a pretty rough fight then, right? Because you're saying it's not a boxing match, it's a fight.
Yeah. Conor's going to get in there, he's going to rough him up, and, probably fight him a lot like Maidana did.
You've said that there's no rematch clause, right? But if he were to beat him, we'd see it again, wouldn't we?
Conor wins.
There's no rematch clause.
What's the point? Other than, what's the point if Conor beats him to do it again?
It'd be bigger.
A lot of money.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if that happened, we'd talk about it, but there's no rematch clause in there. I'm ready for Conor to get back to MMA.
Yeah, what's he coming back to?
I don't know. We got to get past this first. We got 2 weeks, and less than 2 weeks, and then we can figure out what's next.
You think you'll still crown an interim champion though in the meantime?
Yeah.
Any idea who?
Yeah.
So when is that?
Shit, off the top of my head, I don't remember where it is, but I think it might be Vegas. October 7th in Vegas, I think.
Is that Lee Ferguson?
Huh?
They were saying today it was Lee and Ferguson.
Yeah.
That'll be for the interim tussle. What happened to Habib?
Habib's not ready.
Hurt?
Yeah, he had surgery, and he's just not ready. So it is what it is.
So Lee and Ferguson for the interim title, October 7th. Is that a main event fight? No.
Might be. I don't know. You're asking me too many questions. I don't know.
What is it?
I'm focused.
Too much.
I'm focused on this fight in the next 2 weeks. It's the only thing I'm really focused on.
Is that's official though? I mean,
What?
that's what's happening. Is Lee Ferguson? That's for sure, or that's just a plan?
Yeah, that's for sure.
That's for sure.
Good?
Yeah.
It's hot as hell in here.
Thanks, Dana.
All right.
Welcome back to the MMA Roadshow. We'll just let it be known now that our time off got us no more answers. So if you were just waiting the whole time thinking, man, while Dana's talking, I bet they're going to figure this out. We're going to need more time. All right.
We had a couple other ones, but
So a lot to take from Dana's scrum. I guess, first of all, of course, the Mayweather-McGregor stuff. The video footage, we touched on it. It's funny. Okay, so the whole thing with Dana saying that they gave tons of footage to Showtime. Steven Espinoza actually reached out to me. Well, I should say other people at Showtime reached out to me and put me in touch with Steven Espinoza. And he actually gave me a quote and said, listen, I want to put this quote in your story. I want to clarify what actually happened with this footage, but I don't want to make it a big deal. He actually told me, he said, listen, I really don't want a new headline. I'm not trying to get into a battle with Dana White. He was like, I just want to clarify what happened. He said, listen, yeah, we did get, a minute or two worth of footage, but as you said, it was kind of all Conor highlight stuff. And the other thing, Cole Coffey, is they said kind of like what you said. It wasn't raw footage. It was 8-second clip, 8-second clip, 8-second clip, 8-second clip. And they said, listen, for All Access, first of all, it just doesn't work. Like it was a produced segment. It wasn't raw footage that we can come through and edit. And they said, listen, we really look at All Access not just as a promotional piece. It's not just some countdown show, whatever. They're like, we look at it as a documentary, like an actual sports documentary, and for you to send us edited clips. And then my understanding too was the insistence was, and it wasn't the UFC that sent it, it was Conor's team, said, listen, you have to use this in full or don't use it at all. And they're like, well, we don't want to use it in full. And Conor's team said, then don't use it at all. So anyway, it was just interesting because I had that with Steven Espinoza. I added it to our story, and then a day later, headlines did come out on a couple different websites. It was funny because he had said, listen, I don't really want this to be a big deal. I don't want to make it look like I'm trying to, get into an argument with Dana, because I'm not. I just think the facts need to be stated correctly. So I thought that was kind of interesting that came out of that scrum. The other thing, too, was where it was brought up about whether Dana and the UFC are going to do boxing moving forward. I'm already on record. I've already talked about it. I think they're going to do boxing moving forward. I don't know exactly what direction it'll be.
Yeah.
But I will say this whole experience would not one bit surprise me. And this is complete, conjecture, I think is the right word. Just me guessing, me talking. This is, I want to make it very clear. I don't have 1 ounce of inside information here. It would not surprise me at all if Dana White and Leonard Ellerbe do business together in the future. Would that surprise you? And I did not know Leonard Ellerbe at all before this process, but in spending time around Leonard Ellerbe, do those two cats not look like two guys that could do business together?
Oh, for sure. And Dana's even said as much, where, he likes to deal with those. He likes to deal with smart people, especially guys that make money. And Leonard likes the same. So I guarantee you. I mean, but I think that's the thing with especially guys that are going to be, if they are going to be boxing promoters, you can't make enemies of them because they're going to be working in the same circles. But no, I certainly think that's quite a possibility to see him again. I mean, throughout this whole process, I think it could have been easily my guy versus your guy. I don't even want to talk to you. Don't look at me. Blah blah blah. These guys have been nothing but cordial throughout the whole time.
Incredibly respectful.
Yeah. So I mean, makes sense that if Dana was going to jump back more into that realm, why would you not want Ellerbe to be a point of contact?
I think so.
I mean, especially if there is beef still with Arum.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have another. You got to have another input because you don't want to jump into that ring and be against one of the biggest promotions.
Good point.
Have them already against everything you're going to be trying to do.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
That's it.
So true. And it's true. I mean, and even if you're looking for a little example of how it may work on the other side too. I mean, how great was it? Last week, and I can't remember if we touched on this in the podcast or not, but. Where Leonard Ellerbe, broke out the Dana 101, where he was like, "You don't like this shit? Don't buy it." I mean, that's Dana White right there. You know what I mean? But again, this is me just completely guessing, but I could totally see these cats doing business together. The other thing that I thought was interesting, when Dana White said, "Listen, we've struck a deal with YouTube for looking for a fight, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon." Not that I think anybody thought that show was going anywhere anytime soon, and I'm sure it'll show up on Fight Pass as well. But the idea that they struck a deal with YouTube for this program, I found very interesting. And the reason I found this interesting is just a little nugget to think about the TV deal in the future. I've also gone on record thinking that a lot of people I don't think are expecting the Fox deal when it runs out to generate the type of revenue that the UFC needs it to, or not really the UFC, I should say, but WME, IMG to make their money back. And I've said all along, nah, I don't buy that. Ari and these cats didn't spend that money, guessing and hoping. But it kind of reminded me of the power of online streaming and how Facebook, Netflix, Amazon, are starting to bid serious money towards programming,
Right.
legit programming. In fact,
Right.
I read an article in the Guardian this week where the cost of the Premier League. Now, the Premier League soccer, I know a lot of people probably don't follow soccer, but I mean, the Premier League is aptly named, right? I mean, it is the best league on the planet, the most profitable league. I mean, the Bundesliga in Germany is awesome. Serie A in Italy used to be a lot more powerful than it is.
Yeah.
There's a couple teams in France that do a good job, but I think the Premier League is probably, it's safe to say, the most popular around the planet. So it might be hard to compare the UFC and the Premier League, but they were talking about the fact that online bidders such as Amazon, such as Facebook, are getting involved in the bidding is expected to up the deal price by like 40%.
Wow.
Which is crazy, because can you imagine? I mean, you tell me like Amazon or like, I mean, dude, the UFC is like a millennial type sport, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I would think that it would work great for people that are doing online type stuff. So I don't know. I just thought it was cool to hear them say that they struck a deal with YouTube. I was like, oh shit, I didn't even know there were deals to be struck with YouTube. So
yeah.
Interesting. But I thought it was cool for Dana to come back and spend a few minutes. Hopefully he'll do that in the future. Again, we've covered all 6 of the Dana White Contender Series so far, and I enjoy doing it. Sounds like there's going to be a lot more of them. And when you get those little bonus interviews, it's nice. What do you think about that Lee Ferguson matchup? You like it?
I do. It just feels
you wanted Habib in there.
I did, because I just feel like, this is a great instance of Lee certainly talking up and getting there. I definitely think he's deserving skill-wise. I just feel like it was a quick jump up. I know he's been around there, but just for him to all of a sudden get thrown in there for an interim title, but I like the guy. I like it.
He's
I
great.
like his hustle. I mean, I love. He's been great in interviews and all the other kind of stuff, but it just kind of threw me out of left field because I was like, wow, okay, I didn't realize he was that close. But that just goes to show. I mean, that you could talk yourself into it, and if the people want to watch it, man, next thing you know, it's what's happening. But I'm happy for him. I think it's going to be a good fight. I think Ferguson has him when it comes down to it, but Lee is very, very explosive. He's very powerful. He's very quick. If he catches Tony doing something stupid, he's got all the chances in the world to win it. But I've seen Tony's he's fight. I feel cliched to say a guy that's fighting on another level right now, but he's certainly fighting on all cylinders right now, and I just think he's in a better point right now than where Kevin is.
It sucks for Habib that Habib wasn't ready. I mean, I think it probably goes to show you just how hard it was for the UFC to find a main event for that slot, because it seemed like everybody was holding out for Madison Square Garden, because you got to think they wanted Kevin Lee for Detroit, which is December 2nd. You know they wanted him in Detroit.
Yeah.
And that
would have been awesome.
The proper interim title fight. Hell, Dana told us the fight that needed to happen in our June interview when we sit down. The fight that needs to happen is Tony Ferguson versus Habib Nurmagomedov.
And I think that's maybe why I'm more like, that's the fight I wanted to see.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just been waiting to see Habib come in there and do something for so long that maybe I'm just like over it. But you're right. I mean, I think that's why it was so built up. And I guess, maybe I shouldn't be so down on the matchup. Maybe that's my own personal thing. But I think it should be a good one. I mean, the 2 top-level guys. It's going
to be a good fight. And
it's going to be a good fight.
The pre-fight build-up's going to be good.
Yeah.
They're going to talk.
I mean, Kevin has a way of getting in dudes' heads. And Tony, over the years, this past couple years, man, he's really ratcheted up his side of things, too. He used to before was just, I wouldn't say quiet, but just sort of just went in, did the interviews like he needed to, said what he needed to say, and then got out. Wasn't exciting. Wasn't really fun to do the interviews, but the last couple of years, man, it's gold.
I think he used to want to be kind of standoffish. He would wear the sunglasses, kind of have the attitude, and he wanted to be standoffish, but it made it hard for people to interview him because they didn't know if they could, interact with him a little bit. And I think now he's realizing, hey, I can be kind of edgy, but also, answer the question, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of a delicate balance.
Yeah.
I like the fight.
It should be good. Yeah.
It just I think what it shows is Because from what I understand, I mean, they had tried a lot of different fights to get into the slot, but basically, like, a lot of people were hurt. A lot of people were holding out for Madison Square Garden. And I think what happened was the UFC just made the best of kind of a bad situation. You know what I mean? It's still a great fight. It's just that it was supposed to be Ferguson and Habib. Habib wasn't ready.
I mean,
you got to think they wanted Kevin Lee for Detroit.
Yeah, I agree. But man, he's on a 5-run streak right now, Kevin Lee. That's impressive. That's
it's nice.
Certainly throws you up in the mix.
I think again, dude, you got to think
that's why it makes you wonder why he's ranked number 7. You know, I mean, that's why I think sometimes maybe it just feels like, okay, you're gonna. But you know, he's certainly talking. But you're right. I mean, like, you know that the heat that these two are going to generate fight week is going to make everybody forget about the fact that it was supposed to be another match.
Oh, dude, their media day face-off is going to be sick. You know,
there'll be lots of shit talking.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good.
Yeah.
Like I said, Chiesa's got to be pissed, man. For a guy that really doesn't think he lost that fight, he's got to be absolutely gutted. All right, the last thing we kind of did this week, we shot the Nevada State Athletic Commission meeting, and we touched on it quite a bit on the way to this point, so I don't think we have to relive the whole thing. But I got to say, it was an interesting little debate because Mike Mersch, first of all, seeing former UFC executive Mike Mersch up there representing Conor McGregor. Of course, we had run into him at the open workout and kind of knew he was representing Conor McGregor, but I didn't know that until this week. Seeing him up there, and then Mayweather's representation as well. I will say, I don't think either one of them made the most convincing argument ever that this needed to happen, to go to the 8-ounce glove instead of the 10-ounce glove. But I will say that I'm not that upset with the decision. I mean, as you touched on earlier, it's such a weird, what was the word they used? Unconventional was the word they used, right?
Yeah.
It is an unconventional fight, so why do we have to adhere to the 154-pound rule that's there, that's 10-ounce glove? Skip Avancino actually did a great job of pulling out the old notes and saying, well, even when we came up with this, we didn't have like an exact medical definition for it. We just came up with it. So I don't know. I'm not opposed to it. I did think it was interesting because, you and I last week were just fretting over what the hell is the reason for Floyd's wanting this 8-ounce glove. I think it was Leonard Ellerby who talked about it. And, of course, we openly admit we're not boxing historians, but 46
not so much.
Yeah, 46 of Floyd Mayweather's 49 wins have been in 8-ounce gloves.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just a simple comfort factor for him, you know what I mean?
It's a mental edge.
I think so too. Like, not, he's saying no, it's because I think I'm going to knock him out. I don't think that's it. Now that I know that 46 of 49 fights have been in the 8-ounce gloves, I think it's exactly what you said. Just, hey, I know what an 8-ounce glove feels like on my hands. I know what it looks like in front of my face. I know, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm comfortable in. Now, I still feel like you got to say, man, that helps Conor. That helps Conor.
It does.
But I could see from Floyd's point of view saying that makes me feel good. So I don't know. The whole thing is you watch it. I feel like people watch those NSAC hearings, and I think honestly sometimes they're a little too hard on them. I think sometimes I see social media comments. They're like, that's
hard on the committee.
Yeah,
yeah.
I think sometimes. I mean, listen, these are people. It's not like they're full time. I mean, they all have full time jobs. They come together. They have this job. It's like have you ever been on a committee at work? If you were in some corporate office,
it's never fun. It
doesn't
look fun. I mean,
you come together and you're trying to half-ass your way through it. You don't necessarily know. So I feel like sometimes they're kind of hard on. But honestly, I didn't have a hell of a lot of problem with the way this went down.
No, I mean, honestly, and you're right. I mean, I think it is a fact where, Floyd's going to be more comfortable. If that's what he needs, he says it's his last fight, let him go out on a bang. If it's going to make him comfortable, if he feels powerful, whatever he needs to sort of do. But if anything else, Conor was going to fight at 10-ounce gloves, which I think was putting more of the onus on him. It's going to throw him more out of his element. Mm-hmm. Now it's closer to hit what he's been recently fighting at. Granted, I think the last 3 fights that Floyd has had haven't been at the 8-ounce. They've been at the 10-ounce. So it's not like he was so far gone from using 8-ounce gloves that he's going to be like, oh, okay, and change the way he does. I don't think it's ultimately going to change training. It's not going to change anything really when he gets in the thing. If anything else, Conor might think that it feels a little bit better. Maybe his hands feel a little bit snappier in them. But I think they're both going to go in and it's I think Conor, yes, maybe the power that he's going to be able to generate in some of this will maybe be delivered a little bit better, but I think that's why there's so much when they talk about the padding. Where's the distribution of the padding? If it's 2 ounces lighter, but the distribution of the padding is in the wrist, where it's 2 ounces less in the wrist, does it really affect it the way that the glove actually performs when you strike them? There's other little things.
It was funny when the commission was like, I think as long as they both use the same glove, and you were shooting, so you probably didn't see this, but all of a sudden, like, Mersch looks over at, like, Ellerby and, like, their representative, and everybody's like, oh, hell no, we can't. Because, they both got their endorsement deals. And it's like, whoa, no. And they were both kind of looking at each other like, no, right? No, we can't do this, right?
Yeah, that's funny. No, I didn't see that, but I can imagine. But, yeah, I think when they were even trying to say, studies, 2 ounces. Maybe to the educated person, they can explain to me how that's such a big difference.
Right.
Me and my brain, the small little pea brain that I have, it doesn't seem like it's that big of a difference to me that it's going to be a big game changer.
Well, what if I told you right now you could have 2 ounces of Jameson or no ounces of Jameson?
Well, I would feel sad.
That's a big difference.
I would feel sad in that.
You see what a big difference 2 ounces can make?
But yes, they're not like they're saying, hey, it's bare knuckle or 2 ounce gloves.
Right, no, that's true.
But I don't know. I think it's more of a mental thing. I think it was all just posturing. I don't think it's really going to affect the outcome too much. But if it makes Floyd more comfortable and if it makes Conor feel like, hey, this is closer to his realm, I think both guys might come in with a boost mentally. And if that does do something for them, great. I don't think their hands were much slower. The fact that they're wearing a 10-ounce glove as opposed to an 8-ounce glove.
I think what you're saying is that, like, look, if this was the thing that was your tipping point, like, I was thinking Floyd,
yeah,
but now we got 8-ounce glove. I'm over to Conor. Like, if that was like, you're probably ill-advised if that was your tipping point.
I think it's not going to be big enough. Like, if this was the difference of why you're wagering one way or another, I think you're probably misinformed with how you're going to be
especially if
spending
there's
your money.
A gun to your head or it's your last $100.
Yes, I wouldn't. I would take that $100 and spend it on a hooker. And that's a type of beer, I think.
But that's true. If you've only got $100,
you got $100
left,
your last one. Go out with a bang,
so to speak.
But I don't know. But it was crazy. It was interesting to see it. But I like the one thing where even the commission, which has that boring job that everybody loves to hate on, loves to do all the shit and yell at them. But they were put in a position that should have never been in the first place, and it did start. And Mersch went out there and said it was like, hey, this started with a social media ploy or whatever. Somebody said something, and then somebody said, okay, well, I'm good with that too. All right, well, let's do that. Where if it was such a big deal, that's the kind of shit. As much as they scrutinized this fight, that's something that if it was really a big deal, they would have made sure that shit was laid out right from the get-go.
So you like the way Anthony Marnell came at him? And
yes,
was like,
I thought it was pretty much just like, don't make us have to do anything that should have just been taken care of right from the get-go. Because if that really is a big deal, fucking just do it.
And if you missed any of this, the whole archive is on YouTube. We actually, not only is the archive on YouTube, we also interviewed Mike Mersch afterwards. We interviewed Bob Bennett afterwards. We interviewed Leonard Ellerby afterwards. So all those are up on YouTube. But, yeah, you're right. The chairman, Anthony Marnell, basically before he, as the deliberation ended, he said, listen, the one thing, and he didn't, he's like, I'm not going to mince my words. The one thing I'm pissed off about is that you used us as a marketing tool. And it's not fair to put us in a position where, you're basically – making us a marketing tool.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a strong message.
Yeah, because they had talked before, when they were first making it happen, like, oh, you want to do it 10 ounces, that's fine. You want to do it 8 ounces, whatever. And they agreed on it. If it was such a sticking point at that point, you figure they would have figured it out. But ultimately, I still think it's going to come down to it's going to come down to the footwork. It's going to come down to the way that the head movement, the placement. It's not going to be whether these gloves, they're going to be powerful whether or not, whether it was you get punched by Conor with a 10-ounce gloves or you get punched by Conor with an 8-ounce glove, it's still either going to finish you or do damage or it's not. And the same thing with Floyd. Maybe if I was more familiar with how the fatigue my hand would feel of punching with the 2-ounce difference and the speed, maybe over time, maybe maybe I wouldn't be as fatigued. I mean, maybe that 2 ounces, but I mean, this is 2 ounces.
I'm just so used to having 12 ounces in
I
my
know,
hand,
right? I'm like 2 ounces, like bitches, man up, like this. Right now I got a 22 ounce. I've been holding nonstop. Let's do this.
Oh, man. All right. Well, listen, all that's on there. If you want to check it out, it's on there. I was a little surprised. I thought the commission, from the beginning, was going to outlaw it. I thought that Mayweather was just posturing, that never wanted the 8-ounce gloves. But I don't know. You know what? I'm kind of glad it was done.
But, man,
like
right when they started talking, I was like,
oh, it's getting done.
It's going to happen. Right from the very beginning, I was like, okay, which made me think maybe it's not that big a deal for them because – honestly, we've seen a lot of those meetings, and they do usually have the fighter's best interest and safety and all the things that would affect how boxing is perceived. If it was something really
there's no way you could – I was going to say there's no way you can argue that decreasing glove size is helping fighter safety.
Right.
And they're saying that's what's most important.
Right.
So and you're right. And then they're like, but whatever.
But in this case, they were put in a rough situation. But I don't know. It's
an unconventional fight.
It's an unconventional fight. So maybe we should have unconventional thinking when thinking about it.
I'll tell you what. I will say this, though.
The unconventional miracle.
I was talking.
I still like Miracle in the Desert.
The miracle next to Monte Carlo. No, I tell you what. I was talking to Brett Okamoto from ESPN afterwards. The one thing that did kind of get glossed over.
Your guys' discussion was a little bit more better than what I heard inside.
It was a little bit. But I tell you what. They did. Part of it is they did say we should go back and do a study and we should talk about glove size, not only for boxing but also for mixed martial arts. So just keep that little note in your head, because if they come back and they're like, oh, by the way, heavyweight MMA should probably wear 8-ounce gloves in MMA. Why would you argue that heavyweights shouldn't wear bigger gloves? They probably should. But I don't think that'll happen, but it's just something to think about moving forward. So anyway.
That's interesting, yeah. I didn't catch that part, but the MMA part.
See? Nobody. It was just a little detail. Those are the things. Subtle details that we pick up. Hey, shout out to you, Cole Coffey. I was going to try to work it in, but we had so much to talk about this week because it was such a busy, quote-unquote, off week. During the Conor McGregor open workouts, you did your own interviews with Artem Lobov and Owen Roddy.
I did.
They're on YouTube. They're on Bright Cove too.
Made me have to work.
Who knows what Bright Cove is? They're on MMA Junkie. They're also on YouTube as well. But you did your own interviews. Not only did you shoot them, but you actually did the interview from behind the camera as well. So I thought they were pretty fucking good, bro. I think
it worked out.
I think you're developing, man. I think your game's stepping up, dude. I think you're big time, bro. You're well rounded.
They worked out for me. It was at first, because I remember when I got Owen, he was like, "Wait, who are you with?" And I was like, "Junkie," and he's like, "Oh, okay." But I thought he gave a good interview. And Artem's always, as much as people for some reason just love to fucking hate on him, dude. He will do the rounds. Like, there could be 30 motherfuckers, and I know a lot of people will say, "Oh, because he's getting his brand," whatever. The dude's willing to do whatever interview. I mean, I saw him do other interviews, and he gave. I think my interview was like 7 minutes with him, 6 or 7 minutes with him, and he did it with no problem and gave a good interview. And then Owen was like maybe 5 or 6 minutes, gave a good interview. But I mean, I mean, kudos to them. I mean, they gave good interviews, which was good. But yeah, I mean, I don't know why Artem gets so much grief. I mean, I get it. I get it, but
it's record. He's Conor's boy.
He's Conor's boy, but I mean, as for like a media member, and you're just trying to get sound, you love when a fighter is willing to step up, or anybody in the camp is willing to go on record and do it. So I commend him for, putting himself out there, and yeah, I thought both of them did decent interviews and stuff.
Check those out if you haven't done them. I was gonna work them in tonight, but we kind of.
Cold Coffee's Conversation.
Oh, Cold Coffee's Casual Conversations. Go check them out on YouTube. They're good. They're really good. All right. Next week.
Wait,
the money fight.
What's happening?
It's going to be happening.
Next week? Is that next week?
Our boy Shamat Karsandu is going to be in town. Maybe we can get a few minutes with him. I don't know what the hell is going to be going on 5 weeks.
Oh, should we talk about...
We don't even have a fight week scheduled yet.
That's true. We can talk about Monday.
Monday, we'll be doing a Facebook Live at 12:30 p.m. Pacific time.
Pacific time.
Yeah, we're going to have Facebook Live. It'll be me, Gorgeous George, and Shamakar Sandhu is going to be here. Cole Coffey's going to be producing it. Then we're going to have to run over for a Francis Ngannou Media Day at the Performance Institute. So, yeah, it's going to be busy. But tune in for that Facebook Live. We'll be talking.
It's funny as I wanted to like hit Paige up like, can you move that to like 3? Can you send the email back out? Can you say something came up?
We're just
and we
changing
have
things.
to do it for.
We
3?
have a Facebook Live.
I'm like, man, we can see Francis anytime we want. Why you gotta put it right then?
Maybe we do it from the Performance Institute instead of the radio studio. We'll get back to you on that one. We're producing on the air, but we'll think about that. That's what we got going. Listen, we got frosty beverages to drink and
Miracle in the Desert.
Hit us up. We're obviously struggling here.
Yeah, that'll work. Yeah, give us suggestions, and we'll take your ideas as our own.
And we'll totally give you credit. Or not. But we love you either way. Thanks for listening.